So welcome to Womb I. My name is Eliza Ma'ora, and I am the founder of Song of Sophia School. I'm also a midwife. I'm a midwife of soul passages, of families and babies and births and deaths. And I'm an oracle of the primordial Sophia. I'm a ceremonialist of the womb, and I'm a specialist regarding trauma, sexual trauma primarily, and shamanic rites of passage and the human experience. So, welcome into Womb I. I decided to create Womb I as a vehicle for me to share when I am called to speak. So there's going to be a collection of all the little oracular pop-ups I have throughout the year. And that collection will be called Womb I, and I'll just continue to ebb and flow with when I'm called to speak, when I'm inspired, to share in this way. And they'll all be in one place together, collected, so we can reference them and go back and know where to find them when we need them. So this is the first episode of Womb I. And I was originally planning for this episode to be a live on YouTube. The technical difficulties didn't work out. But what I do appreciate right now about us all being on Zoom together is that we're creating, a sort of communal send off for Womb I, which, makes a lot of sense in my body, because Womb I, what this translates to is the human experience of creation. And we'll be going deeper into Womb I throughout this time together. But really, Womb I is how we are showing up right here in this present moment, how we are all participating together, how we're all creating the song lines of creation together right here, right now, in this present moment. So for us to be here on Zoom and interacting together gives us an opportunity to be more so in a shared field than YouTube would have provided. So I do appreciate the shared field that we can create here today. And you all are invited to participate in that shared field in any way that you feel called to do. So you could lean in a little bit, or you could settle back into your chair and you can just be a witness, and you can just observe, and you can watch. You can lean in and you can settle back. Okay. So just however you find yourself naturally orienting to the material may change throughout the course of the call. And that's something that I really trust. So this is an interactive, co-creative experience. So anytime you need to take care of yourself, you need to get a glass of water, you need to step outside, or you have something you need to tend to, I really respect that, and I honor that, and I trust that. What I like about Womb I is you'll be able to return, to the material when it feels right for you, in the timing that's perfect for you. And I don't know exactly, what this call holds and what the entire container of Womb I holds yet, but it is a living body of creation. And everything I share in Womb I will be coming from my own channel of the human experience. It'll be coming from the primordial Sophia, because that is who I am represented as. That is who I'm an embodiment of. And that is the oracle from which I speak, the primordial Sophia. So the mythos of the primordial Sophia. So I invite you to take what resonates and leave the rest, because the Sophionic mythos is very great with many different song lines running through it. Yes. And the primordial Sophia, is just one of those song lines. But we're all connected. We're all in this grid together, and we're all ebbing and flowing, breathing, giving, receiving from one another. Okay. So take what resonates and leave the rest. And absolutely, please stay true to your own inner compass, first of all. Yeah. Please stay true to your own inner compass. And may all of the Womb I be in the holy name of the one true light and the one true sound, the sacred union of Christ, Sophia. So if you'd like to set your space in any way to receive, to lean in or to lean back, the feminine, she gives and receives, and a relaxed state of being. When we are connected to our womai and our womai is open and pulsing and informing us, our bodies are soft. They're open, they're taking up space, they're relaxed. So, however that feels for you, if you'd like to lay down, if you'd like to close your eyes, however you feel you'd like to be present and be co creating and receiving, I invite that. The feminine, the Sophia, is the dreaming. So, our bodies, we release the tension, we release the war through the softening, through the subtleness. Mm-hmm. So just taking a moment to really see what you need right now, how you'd like to orient your body. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm just opening myself up. I'm calling you all in, and I'm extending myself out into that primordial Sophionic embodiment. What differentiates the primordial Sophia from the other, song lines within the greater Sophia mythos is that the primordial Sophia is right in between where the formlessness becomes form. It's right in that place where the dreaming becomes the awakened creation. So the primordial Sophia is very much the Sophionic physiology. So my oracle, in the way that she shares about the Sophionic experience here, is very much slowing down our entire experience, giving ourselves pause, giving ourselves opportunities to for all parts of ourselves to fall into alignment. And we don't necessarily open into an altered state or into an ecstatic state right away. The primordial Sophia is really here to track and see what is truly alive without trying to change it right away. Yeah. So we don't have any destination right now. The primordial Sophia is more so gathering up everything that's here, everything that's alive in this present moment, and breathing it in, holding it, acknowledging it, and seeing the entire spectrum, of what is here and what is showing up. There's very much a presencing and just inviting every living piece to come forward. Mm-hmm. So we say, calling all parts of ourselves here and now. Calling all parts of ourselves here and now. Mm-hmm. So the womb eye. The womb eye is in direct relation to the lost gospel of Mary Magdalene. So when I say lost, I mean hidden, I mean forbidden, I mean secret, I mean mystery, I mean portal, I mean cervix, I mean that tiny, 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 tiny place inside of the heart. Yeah, that tiny, 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 tiny little doorway, that eye of the needle. Mm-hmm. And the lost gospel of Mary Magdalene, from certain viewpoints, there is an infiltration here. The greater church, or the aspects of religious trauma, the parts of religion that deny the human experience and place this sort of perfected version of humanity in front of us and says, assimilate to this or else suffer an eternal damnation, right? That idea brings forward a lot of religious trauma. So there is some infiltration here when we say the lost gospel of Mary Magdalene, because those in control of the religious timelines and the religious belief systems, the ideologies, you know, it does benefit them to remove the gospel of Mary Magdalene from the general overall church mythos and to put it somewhere hidden, because the gospel of Mary Magdalene is very much a Sophionic gospel, meaning that Christ is always alive inside of you. Every single cell in your body is living, breathing divinity, right? And in the other books of the Bible, it doesn't necessarily say that. It says you will find divinity in Christ only. And Christ is, coming down from the heaven. He has descended down from the heaven and he has come back, and we're still waiting. He's not here yet. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene says he is alive. Christ, the essence of Christ, the light of Christ, the spark of divinity is alive within you. It's within every single cell. We are human and we are also divine. So I'm sure for many different reasons we can assume, why there would be infiltration in removing this gospel from the book that everybody, is handed upon their incarnation on this planet. That piece of personal empowerment is removed. So there is an aspect of infiltration here, but there's also an aspect of truth. All right, and that the gospel of Mary Magdalene is hidden, it's forbidden, it's a secret, a mystery, because the gospel of Mary Magdalene is this living, breathing essence that's within all of us. It's our living bodies, it's our physiology, is this gospel of Mary Magdalene. And it is a quest of the Grail. It is moving inside of our own cellular structure, our own human experience. As a lot of the great mystics say, it's the process of getting to know ourselves. To know thyself is this gospel of Mary Magdalene. It's moving deeper and deeper and deeper into our own cellular structure, into that place where dreaming becomes reality. So yes, there are aspects of that are hidden. There are aspects of that that are secret, that are mystery, and that is actually very purposeful. It's part of the quest. It's part of the journey. So when we say that lost gospel of Mary Magdalene, I want to really remove any sort of overlay of victimhood on that aspect of lost. Any sort of overlay on the they aren't telling us the truth. Whenever that sort of they aren't telling us the truth sort of energy comes into this gospel of Mary Magdalene, it will distort the human experience and it will distort the womb eye. So, this sort of reclamation of our divine feminine embodiment, this sort of reclamation of our cells and the divinity within our body, whenever there's a sort of they aren't telling me what I need to know. They have removed this resource from my system. They have blocked off my access to divinity. Whenever that sort of overlay is hanging over the truth, that's exactly what they want. Okay? It's part of the war machine. Yeah? So Magdalene is the beloved of Christ, Yeshua. She's the beloved. She's the daughter of Sophia. And when I speak Magdalene, I invite us to be with the essence of the Holy Feminine. Yes, Magdalene is a woman who walked this earth. And yes, her gospel says she is still walking. She is still walking within each one of us. Yes. And this essence of her living spark within each one of us, this is the path of Sophia. Okay? So Sophia is not an individual goddess of wisdom, like we think of Athena as a goddess of wisdom, right? Although like the Greek Athena, Sophia is a translation from ancient Greece, meaning the ever-learning wisdom, the holy and high wisdom, the ever learning, the ever living divine. So Sophia translates into this ever living, eternal essence of wisdom that is always learning, always evolving. And every present moment, there is this spark that is always spinning. There is this sound that is always spinning. Yeah. And Sophia is that sound that is always spinning inside of each individual representation of the goddess. So Athena, an individual representation of the always spinning essence of Sophia. Magdalene, a more personalized representation of the goddess. Magdalene, a daughter of Sophia. So Sophia is the vibrational essence of their lived experience. And sometimes when we say Sophia, we can get really fixated on like, oh, this is an individual entity, Sophia. Sometimes when we say Christ, we can get really fixated on, oh, this is an individual entity, Christ. You know, the mythos, the history says this is where he walked and this is what he said. And sure, okay. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene says we are still speaking those red words. We are still speaking that text, all right? And it is within the womb where the general consciousness of these individual experiences of God are fine-tuned into divine frequency, okay? So it's within the womb where Magdalene, the individual, is fine-tuned into the high and holy divine feminine Christ, Sophia. It is within this engineering of the womb, which is an energetic grid and also a physiological location in our bodies. It's within this womb that each and every one of us is fine-tuned into the frequency of the divine and also fractalized into the human experience. So I'm not necessarily working with Christ consciousness. That's actually not something I'm necessarily interested in praying within. And I want to explain why that is. So each and every one of us is a collection of Christ consciousness. It's all of our individual hopes, dreams, prayers. Beautiful, right? All our individual experiences, our traumas, our coming to Jesus moments, you know, our reformations, you know, our divinations with the church. It's all of our rites of passage into the divinity within us. However, within the consciousness of Christ, there's continual overlays, you know, on top of that frequency point. Okay, so even in our human bodies here, we have overlays on the human experience. We have different interferences. We have different relationships. We just have different webs that we're working with in our life that is informing our human experience day in and day out, positive and negative, neutral. It doesn't really matter. What it means is we have a lot of different experiences informing this one individual essence within us. I'm interested not so much in all of those experiences informing it, but I'm interested in the exact frequency. You know, I'm interested in that exact frequency. And there is a place within our body. Well, there's many places within our body, but there is a place within our body that is within the womb eye grid, where this one frequency, this Christ frequency, this immaculate conception, this meeting of light and sound is always occurring. Okay. And that's in the very, very, very center of the womb eye, in something that my oracle calls the egg of conception. Okay, the egg of conception. So we're going to continue unfolding this. We're going to continue to talk about it. However, Sophia is the vibrational essence of this entire lived experience. So I think it could be helpful for us just to take a moment and see if we can locate that vibrational essence of Sophia. And what I mean by locate is come into a relationship with it. Come into contact with it. So, do you speak Sophia? Do you let her name roll off your tongue? Do you find the essence of Sophia living within you and bring it into sound? Bring it into form. Mm-hmm. And before any of that occurs, do you sit back even further and pause? Do you have a moment of stillness? Do you have a moment of silence before just moving directly into the head and trying to figure out what all of that means? Yeah. So just taking a moment to move in to this place where you witness, this place where you pause. And how I do that is I get more comfortable in my chair. I just kind of sit back, I relax a little bit, and I just pause. And anytime we're relating with the original creation, anytime we're relating with sex, with love, and with war, the pause is the first step. And we'll be able to pause in whichever way is true for us. Okay? And this is your pause to claim. This is your pause to create. So if any thoughts are trying to come in and tell you how to pause better, sure, that's fine. But really, the more you just claim in this moment, right here, right now, this is my pause, the pause will occur. Because in the heat of the war, there's a lot of infiltration. And really getting into that specialized moment of stillness and pause can be challenging. So just recognizing the claiming here, this is my pause. And then from this pause, let us contact Sophia. Let's make a relationship with her. We can speak directly to her. Sophia, are you living outside of my body right now? Are you living somewhere within my body right now? Sophia, can you make yourself known to me? Sophia, I long to know you. Where are you? Spark yourself alive in me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this actual practice is the essence of Sophia herself. It is that lived experience, that present moment understanding of Sophia, exactly as she is right here, right now. So, whatever sort of ideas come in and say, I'm not really sure if this is Sophia, should Sophia be feeling different to me? Any sort of self doubt or just wonderings, you know? That's what Sophia is here to clear in the experience. that is that all of those wonderings are within the womb mind, within the egg conception. Those wonderings, those never occur. So whenever any sorts of those wonderings come in, I think it's important that we recognize that this is the aspect of the womb eye that is the war. That this is the aspect of the womb eye that is the survival. This is the aspect of the womb eye that has been violated and has been traumatized. And there's something important in just recognizing that, and just naming that. It does bring a sort of presencing, deepening into the truth. And when we first deepen into the truth of how profound the war machine is, it doesn't necessarily bring peace. So when we're first deepening into the truth of the war machine, peace is not necessarily to be expected, all right? It can occur, all right? But it's not necessarily to be expected. The more empowered we become peace is actually not necessarily expected, because the more empowered we become, and by empowerment I mean sovereign, the more present we are with all of these different parts of ourselves, and the more present we are with this sophionic flame within us, this ega conception, the more presence that occurs within this sovereign flame within us, we become more locatable to the artificial intelligence. We become a disturbance in their algorithm, a disturbance in their program. All right? So it is actually to be expected, in a way, to be expected, yeah, that things will become more truthful, aka we will see the distortion more than we've ever seen it before. The war will become ever more apparent, and that is actually our empowerment. And so we're not necessarily meant to feel victimized by that in the organic realm, you know? So like, let's say when there's animals prowling about in the jungle, and they're looking for their food, and let's say their food is out there, and their food notices, oh hey, I'm being hunted right now. The food isn't necessarily moving into a place of, oh, I'm being victimized right now. The food's like, oh, how fantastic, how intelligent, what a spark of this moment that I've recognized I am being hunted. I am going to respond appropriately. All right. There is a new age overlay. There's an artificial overlay that says, never be afraid. All right. And this is a tactic of the war machine, one that I think it's really important for us all to sort out in our own ways. Okay, so the war machine has said, the war machine has really infiltrated this new age spirituality. It's really infiltrated even like patriarchal spiritual ways of being. It's really infiltrated the higher consciousness. So when I say patriarchal, I don't necessarily automatically mean wounded patriarchy. I mean higher knowledge coming from the crown going up. Okay, so the new age war machine has really been able to take over the waves up here, the brain waves up here, the astral realm up here. And something that has been programmed into these brain waves is this: if you are a powerful and strong individual, if you are spiritual, if you are safe, you will never be scared again. If you're safe, you won't have any fear. You will denounce all fear. You'll head into every battle without any fear. Okay? And that is absolutely inorganic. All right? It's removing the sophionic essence from our system, because the sophionic essence is a primordial essence. It's a primal essence. It's an embodied essence that is very much orienting to what is a real threat and what is not. Right? So like, when am I truly a victim and when am I not? Sophia sorts that for us. She sorts what is organic and what is inorganic. You know, what is an illness that I should really open up to let pass through me because I'm detoxing, and what is an illness that I say absolutely not to? You know, what is an artificial bug? What is a hook of the machine? You know, and what is my actual rite of passage here in the organic world? Sophia sorts all of that for us. So when we turn off our capacities through a mental construct, when we turn off our capacities to feel fear, we're not going to be able to navigate the wild world. We're not going to be able to orient to the true threats of the war, meaning that we won't be able to actually conceive creations without the war machine imprint. It'll be imprinted on the creations that we're conceiving. All right. And that's a part of the human experience. In this day and age, there is a hybridization, and this is part of the human experience. However, what the war machine is doing right now, it's gathering up all of this emotional energy, all of this sexual energy. It's triggering us left and right. It's telling us how to behave, what makes us a good person, It's rearranging our primal instincts. It's rearranging the threats around us to be like a sort of way that only good or empowered or wealthy people have, right? It's rearranging all of our internal instincts so it can continue to get away with murder, literally. So it can continue to siphon our most precious, precious, precious sexual energy, our innocence. So the womb eye. The womb eye is the eye of Sophia. It is this eye of, you could never do anything wrong that would make me stop loving you. It is the eye of, only love exists here. It is the eye of the cervix. It is the eye of the primordial passageway of divinity into human and human into divinity. Divinity becomes human and human becomes divinity in the exact same moment. It happens spontaneously, just like we're breathing, and it happens simultaneously. It happens at the exact same time. So as we are becoming more divine, we are becoming more human. It happens at the exact same time. What the war machine wants us to believe, all right, is that we're becoming human into divine and not becoming human again, right? The war machine removes conscious death. The war machine removes rebirth. The war machine removes Magdalene. The war machine removes Sophia, all right? It removes the feminine essence of war. The feminine essence of war is knowing that all is reborn. The feminine essence of war is knowing that no matter what is occurring, the love light is always on. Yeah, the feminine essence of war is knowing that war is going to be the closest to the mother. So here in the egg of conception, all the way inside of the womb eye, in the very, 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 very center, we all have access to this egg of conception. Here in the egg of conception is sacred union. It is where the light of Christ meets the sound of Sophia and life forms. Okay, so there is a spark of life, and that spark fractalizes, it individuates. And as soon as it individuates, one cell becomes two cells become 4. That's called survival. Okay? And now within survival, we have a body. We have threats to orient to. We have an actual lived experience of presence, of individualization. All right? And this lived experience of humanity is always relating back to that egg of conception, to those true parents, to the primordial mother and father, to that original conception, that original Christ light, and that original song of Sophia. We are always relating back to that sacred union in every moment. That's how we're alive right here, right now. That is how spirit is coursing through our body. That is how our blood is pumping through our veins. That is how our spiritual material is mixing with our genetic makeup. It's always occurring. This is fluidity. This is divine fluidity. It's always occurring. What the war machine is trying to do is to stop this. To stop this reciprocity. It's like in the very, very center of how it's all occurring, all of the stories surrounding it, all the different fractalizations, it is based on survival, okay? And it's just trying to stop this relation back to the divine, all right? So we want to get a little bit deeper into the artificial intelligence, into the importance of our sexual energy, into the importance of only love can exist here. Usually our thinking brain, our mind is like, why? Why is that happening? Why is the war machine doing that? All right. And I like to keep it simple. The primordial Sophia really does like to keep it simple. The primordial Sophia is rooted before all the different cataclysms, before the first fall of Lemuria, before the 12, literally 12 different falls after that, before all of the Atlantis, which is still Atlantis now, before all of this, the primordial Sophia is rooted. Okay, so the primordial Sophia likes to keep it simple. And the answer to the why would the war machine want us to stop relating with God is because it wants to become our God instead. So it's trying to put itself in the place of sacred union. All right. So the war machine's doing whatever it can to like wiggle its way in and have our human experience relate to the artificial as God instead of relating to our true parents as God. So it's important to keep it simple and just keep recognizing that the womai is holding this entire field, this entire grid where all of this consciousness is occurring. All right. In the very, very center of this womai is the intonation, is the Song of Sophia that says only love exists here. And that Song of Sophia is the original primordial spark that fractalized into all of this individual human experience. And so it exists in every single cell. Every single cell knows this. Every single organic cell has a portal, has access to that intonation of only love exists here. All right. And how we keep this pumping is through sexual energy, is through creational energy. So only love exists here is sex. It's pure sex. It's just sexual energy. All right. And when we move into it, it's going to hold the entire spectrum of sex right around it. So it's going to hold the entire spectrum of survival right around that egg conception. So the war is closest to mother because there is an organic aspect, all right, inside all of this hybridization, inside all this survival, there is an organic aspect that is craving to return to the mother. So it's trying to get as close as it possibly can to the one within us that is holding sacred union, to the one within us that is the matriarch, the mother code. If the inorganic takes down the mother, all right, if the inorganic inverts the song lines of Sophia, right, if the inorganic plays something on top of the song lines of Sophia and then we are creating from our sexual energy from that song, we are building a hierarchy. Yeah, we are building on top of the truth of nature. We are participating in the war in a way where we are selling our eggs, in a way where we're making compromises or agreements, or what we like to say in Song of Sophia, we're just making deals with the devil. And we use that term devil very, very loosely, not in a way to excite any sort of religious trauma or anything like that. I'm not interested in that. But there is an actual aspect of the artificial that wants to weave in and make deals with us. It wants agreements. Hey, if you sell me some of your organic sex, if you sell me some of your organic creation material so I can have it and to create my own version of God, I'll give you this false power. I'll give you this hierarchy in return. I'll inflate your womb field. I'll make you important. I will make it so you don't have to worry about survival again. Yeah, I will give you everything you could ever want, everything you could ever need. But in exchange for that, I will actually remove your ability to create sovereignly, and you'll be creating for me now. You'll be creating for me. And so this is how the essence of the work comes inside of our sexual energy. It moves into our sex and it brings our creations into this field of, like, let's say 90% of this is for the greater good and I'm operating 10% of my creation here in a way that helps me stay alive in this war. Okay, I know that this is kind of a common story for so many of us. Like, hey, 90% of what I'm doing in this world is right on target, but I still have 10% of my life here where I'm selling my eggs, where I'm making deals with the devil, where I'm in a strange power dynamic and just kind of cycling with the artificial, and I'm continuing to sell my sex, and continuing to love these artificial creations that could never love me back. And so, since we have this sort of orientation to it, it's really important that we're just present with it. Okay? Because when we acknowledge it, the artificial is going to come in and try to make up all these stories. We could be just showered with shame or confusion or brain fog. That's too much to recognize, according to the artificial, right? That's too much for you to handle. You don't have to worry about that. Give that responsibility to me, something like that. Don't worry about that. You're doing such a good job. Just keep focusing on the positive. Everything's going to work out in the end. All right. These are all tactics of the war machine, and this is what, as a womb shaman, I'm really keeping track of here. This is my office, this place of our sovereign creation, this place of our sexual energy, and how our sexual energy day in and day out is relating. Is our sexual energy coming from the only love exists here? Or is our sexual energy, relating with the war machine and just this hidden bit, this sly amount, this shameful amount? And if that truth is yes, actually yes, I do have this occurring in my womb eye right now. I see where it's happening, and I'm not going to take my eye off of it. Right? If that's true for you, I highly, highly recommend you don't take your eye off of it. You don't let it become covert. You keep it very obvious to yourself. All these little deals that we're making, the more obvious they are, the more conscious we are of them, the less control, the artificial will have, over our womb, over our sex. The less infiltration can come between us and our sacred union. Okay. So the first step is just really being present to the fact that it's occurring. And we can ask Sophia, hey, illuminate this for me. Actually, the Christ light, illuminate this for me. I say often, it's like a bit of a magical spell here. Illumina, illuminate, illuminate, illuminate. Show me. You cannot hide from me. You cannot hide from me. And so when I say that, I speak it directly into the field in a way that cuts through all distortion. And I speak it from the goddess of sex and love within me. I speak it from that place of only love exists here. I speak it from the place of you could never do anything that would make me stop loving you. That is the Song of Sophia. I speak the Song of Sophia. Illuminate. Illuminate these places that are hiding from me. Recover these lost Gospels of Mary Magdalene. Illuminate. Awaken within my womb eye. Allow me to bring it all into this egg of conception so it can be rebirthed, so it can die consciously. And so all these parts of me can return home. Mm-hmm. So we say calling all parts of ourselves here and now. So we're calling the parts of ourselves that we have access to. Perhaps they're just like around us over here. When I tune into the parts of myself and where they are, my husband's in the bedroom back there. That's definitely a part of me. We make love. That is a part of me. He has my sacred fluids. That is a part of me. He's over there. Okay, so calling all parts of myself here and now, he's the first thing that pops up to me. The next thing that pops up is my land here, my gardens, my medicine, my plants, my pets. I'm sure for those of you that have children, that pops up when we call all parts of ourselves here and now. Our creations arrive. So our most obvious and conscious creations, they arrive first. Our not so obvious creations, they're kind of hanging out in the wings, These not so obvious parts of ourselves, these places that we have disassociated or purposefully distracted ourselves or gotten high. High in a way that isn't a conscious working with creation high in a way where it's like, I just need to check out for a bit. but I'm doing this from such a place of pain that I'm not even conscious that I'm like purposefully checking out right now. It's just covered in shame. So I'm really giving all my power away, when I'm getting high right now. Because the shame is just permeating, right? There's nothing wrong with getting high. It's how we're getting high that matters, right? Mm-hmm. So any place the shame is lingering in these parts of ourselves, that shame is inorganic. When we're present with it and when we call it in and we really gather it in and we bring it into our womb mind, we continue to pulse it into the Song of Sophia, into the egg of conception, the shame will fall away because it cannot live there. Meaning that the shame will illuminate because it cannot live there. And as soon as these parts, these shameful places, this unworthiness, these stories, as soon as that illuminates, that is where the war hooks us. That is where we make these deals with the devil, because it's so painful to experience the shame as it illuminates. I mean, wow, it hurts so bad. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Okay. So we can be really scared of actually feeling that shame. We can keep putting it behind doors and in boxes, etc. But the more we're calling this shame forward and understanding that this actually has nothing to do with us, the shame has just been literally injected into our human experience by a false hierarchy, right? We can understand this intellectually, but can we feel it in our bodies? Can we sort what shame feels like? Do we know what that sensation is? Do we know what the war machine feels like when it arrives? Do we know? Let's see. Let's check it out. So seeing if you